Skin microbes are not passive victims, they're dynamic regulators. They actually regulate and help the immune system.
Sunscreens often contain huge amounts of damaging synthetic chemicals in them, which destroy the skin microbiome. This could actually be making us...
Sam and Kit Bowen-Russell, who really took skincare into their own hands.
Twin brothers from the UK who are taking the skincare industry by storm.
Sam is a nuclear astrophysicist, and Kit is a geophysicist and author.
A Notre Dame grad and his twin brother are looking to revolutionize skin health.
The two launched a 2-year intensive research study.
Two very smart guys who knew all about bad skin at a very early age.
That woman at the end was our mum, and really she's the face which launched 1,000 questions for us.
So we're going to go straight into quite niche breaking news this week, if that's all right with you. But new research has shown that the skin microbiome can actually protect us from the sun. And I know you're thinking that sounds quite insignificant and small, which I would totally understand you thinking that. But it is actually quite a big one. So let's go into why. So have you seen this in the news, Sam?
No, I haven't. So you're the research guy, so I want to question you about it. Because obviously the sun at the moment is everyone's obsessed with the sun, and most normally obsessed with blocking it out, or everything to do with the sun is bad. So this one says, what can you say the name of the paper or the headline you just said? What's it called?
I'm not going to say the name of the paper because, quite frankly, it will send everyone to sleep, including me, including you. And it's got so many long words in it, which scientists just use to baffle people and make themselves sound clever. But basically, in a nutshell, it's just showing that microbes on the skin protect us from the sun, and also they influence our immune system, how it reacts to the sun. And that's how it does it.
Right. So
what we've been saying for ages is this revolutionary concept that the skin microbiome is an incredibly important part of the immune system. Which many people don't really seem to understand. They still see it as separate, and the immune system is just some other bodily entity which happens in conjunction sometimes with the skin microbiome, but they just see the skin as separate from all of the body's functions. So this is good because, again, there's yet more evidence, and again, to us it's so obvious, but the skin is an active and incredibly important part of whole body health, and also our immune system, which is protecting us from all of these potential threats in our environment. So the skin is incredibly important.
Right. That was a brilliant explanation. I would say that's podcast done there.
True.
But no, I love that. So I think the thing I latched onto from your explanation there was these two sort of big worlds or words: the skin microbiome and the immune system. The immune system is like this sort of vague entity that is just said as a word. It's like, oh, it's the immune system, and no one really, like you're saying, defines it or then links the skin microbiome with it. So,
okay, so let's go back to, as you call it, what do you call it? First principles in physics, Sam.
First principles thinking. We're going to derive this from the ground up.
I think that's good. I think we should do it in everyone.
You've got to do it.
If you're worth your weight in salt, you can define every term so that a 6-year-old can understand it. All right, so immune system. Shall I start?
Yeah, please, because my area is the skin microbiome, not the immune system. So you can start on that one.
Well, my understanding of the immune system, really simply, is just that it's a collective term for the body's mechanisms by which it defends itself. So how it defends us from potential harmful things in our environment. So, for example, if we come into a contact with a dangerous microbe which could cause our body harm in our environment, the immune system is there to kick it out and to stop it ever doing damage to our body or getting near our vital organs.
I think the important point here is to get across a big picture instead of actually being 100% scientifically accurate.
Yeah. That's why building up a big picture, the immune system is a bit like the body's defense against anything in our environment which might want to cause it damage.
Okay, well, let's go with that, and then let because it's linked to the skin. And I picked up a phrase from I think some of the authors said it either in an interview about the paper or in the paper. But they said that it's that the skin microbiome and the microbes they're not passive. I can't remember, not passive victims. So that can't have been in the paper because normally they don't speak in that. They still talk in words that are completely incomprehensible. But they said skin microbes are not passive victims. They're dynamic regulators, I think they said. So I thought that was pretty good imagery. So they're not passive victims of the damage that happens or the sun that comes on. They actually regulate and help the immune system.
Yeah. So just quickly, Sam, I just want to define the skin microbiome before we go on.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because again, it's got to be from first principles so that 6-year-olds can listen to this and think, wow, that's interesting. We want to get out to the normal person. Right, so the skin microbiome is just the name for the ecosystem and collection of microbes which live on our skin. So many people just think the skin is like a sheet which you can just stretch over the bones and muscles and it's totally inanimate. But actually, it's host to this incredibly diverse ecosystem, a bit like the Amazon rainforest or anything really. So we're walking around with billions of microbes in and on us in an ecosystem, living things.
Right. And we'll come on to it, but your research really links how that plays into our overall whole body health, and as a result, how it plays into and is part of the immune system.
Yeah, we'll come on to that later, but let's just keep it really slow at this time.
Yeah, so I mean, the paper basically, and we'll keep on this topic, paper was saying really that these microbes themselves are playing an active role in defending the body and the skin against the sun. Is that right? Am I picking that up right?
Exactly. So this paper is saying, your quote was nice. I can find the actual quote for you. It was by, I think, I can't remember who it was by. Anyway, this idea that even people who understand that the skin is an ecosystem, a thriving ecosystem, they still just think it's something which is affected by the environment and the rest of the body and doesn't actually have any direct role to play in either defending us from the environment or in bodily health. But what we're showing is that's totally rubbish. The skin is, like this person said, it's actively involved in huge amounts of whole body health, which we wouldn't even fathom yet, and also protecting us from environmental things. So this study shows that microbes on the skin have processes which protect us from harmful effects of UV rays, because in excess, UV rays can actually be bad for the body, but obviously a healthy amount of them really help our body, not least because of the production of vitamin D. And
all of the other non-linear processes that we don't think of, because we try and sort of synthesize it down to one thing as humans, don't we? So we go, it's the sun's good for us because of the vitamin D, so I'll take vitamin D tablets and then not get any sun, and then that doesn't have the same effect, does it? So anyway, that's for another podcast. So what I wanted to get at, and my question to you, Kit, is the skin microbiome can help protect against it. So the really worrying thing is the possible circle of damage, not possible, but I'm just leaving that wording opening to you, that's happening on our skin. And therefore, it could be leaving us more open to sun damage just by the very things that we're putting on to protect us against the sun, or supposedly protect us against the sun. Is that...
You said that slightly cryptically, but yeah, I think to finish off this breaking news podcast, no, I like what you're saying. I'll finish off because people might be thinking, yeah, but how does this affect me in any way? Why do I care? Why does the average person care? But the reason this is such big news is because it could be showing that actually the best protection against the sun could be by keeping our skin microbiome healthy, not actually by using external sun cream, because our bodies have developed over hundreds of thousands of years to actually be quite good at protecting ourselves against the sun. So everyone in the Western world, as we know, Sam, has damaged skin. So this could be causing us to be really bad at protecting ourselves against the sun. And then the final thing is, as sunscreens often contain a huge amounts of damaging synthetic chemicals in them, which destroy the skin microbiome, this could actually be making us worse at protecting against the sun in the long run. So sunscreens could actually be having the opposite effect in the long run for protecting against the sun if we overuse them.
Well, you said that the best defense could be that, but even if we don't go so far as saying that the best defense could be it, which it may very well, it could be, we could be damaging and destroying our defenses by the things that we're using daily. That's all what I'm saying. So the defenses that we do have, we could be not helping but destroying.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're constantly pouring chemicals all over our skin, which would be known to be linked with things like destroying the skin microbiome, hormone disruption, and even things like cancer, then really what we're doing is we're just destroying the body's natural inbuilt defenses. And if we're doing that day after day after day, it's going to have a big cumulative effect. It could be causing, as we know this from other podcasts we've talked about and our research as well, but it could be causing a whole host of problems. But the one we're going to stick to here is it could be damaging the immune system and also causing more damage from the sun.
Right.
So the question is a balance, obviously, because again, we're not advocating for never ever wearing sunscreen and just going out in the sun thinking your skin microbiome will help it. What we're saying is that if you do have really damaged skin, you're already set up to not be protected against the sun. So what you need to do to supplement what you're already doing is just get a really healthy skin microbiome, and it could help your immune system and also protect against the sun.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it seems, especially at the moment, one of the biggest debates that people are obsessed with. Obviously, can you just say really quickly, people are being obsessed with sun damage right now, especially in the UK and other areas. Is that a bad thing or a good thing in your eyes?
Well, I think it's gone a little bit too far. Talking to my parents when they went on holiday in the 80s and stuff like that, lying on a beach in Lanzarote for 8 hours, falling asleep with no sunscreen is probably too far the other way, isn't it? So there has to be some in between. If you're not used to the sun, you suddenly go on holiday, then you're going to need a bit of sunscreen to Lanzarote. Yeah. So that's the back. Then
what about, would you say, no, here's my question before you start rambling on again, is that, would you say that most people in the UK are getting too much sun or too little sun?
Oh no, absolutely the opposite. Most people are vitamin D deficient, which is causing a huge amount of health problems because they're getting, well, one of the reasons is because they're getting too little sun, which is our main source of vitamin D in the body.
I think it's got to the stage now where people are just scared of any sun, aren't they?
Yeah, we've become scared of any sun in general, because the idea of getting sun is that all sun is bad, whereas actually it's a bit like anything. Excess sun is bad, but sun is actually incredibly good for our body. And I don't know why we need to be saying this as if it's some kind of incredibly progressive statement, because it's not really. The sun gives us so many benefits, which is why humans for hundreds of thousands of years have needed it. So we need a good, healthy amount of sun. We're all vitamin D deficient in the Western world, especially. And also, at the same time, our dermatologists and doctors in the UK are telling us to put on sunscreen on a cloudy day, because the sun's rays can even come through clouds. And they're telling these even to people like Sri Lankans who've just come here and are suffering with health problems because they don't get enough vitamin D in the sun, and also from other areas, but one of the big ones is the sun. So to me, that's utterly
Yeah.
ridiculous, causing a lot of health problems. We've become way too sun phobic. So what we should be doing is strengthening the body's natural defenses against the sun and also getting a bit more sun.
But like you said, if you go to the Australian outback and you've spent your last 10 years in trying to think in London, then
So
then that is when you will need the short term protection. But because most people then would say, but what about all these different situations? But here's what I would ask you: is all this sort of short term protection over short term protection of the sun, going back to the damage that it could be causing to our immune system. So this paper is starting to show a light or shed a light on how if we damage our skin, it could be damaging our defenses against the sun in the long run and actually having the complete opposite effect when we use sunscreen. Is that right? That's my take from it anyway.
no, absolutely right. So basically, again, anything in excess. So it's fine to wear sunscreen because you will need it if you've spent the whole of your life in a basement in Burnley, where you probably see the sun about once a year anyway, and then you go on holiday to Lanzarote, you are going to need sunscreen. But as you said, Sam, if you're using sunscreen and these chemicals in cosmetics constantly, they're just going to break down the skin's defenses and leave it less likely to be able to protect against the sun. So you're going to get in a negative downward cycle.
Interesting. So
Yeah,
what?
that's big for me, as we know in our sun-phobic Western world now. I met a girl the other week. She was Sri Lankan heritage. I think she'd either come here when she was a baby or she was first generation. And she was told by the dermatologist in England to wear sunscreen every single day, even if it's cloudy and raining. Which, I mean, the average, surely there's got to be someone to look at that and think that's ridiculous.
So we can do another podcast on that about the sun phobic nature. But that's the reason I like this paper, because it starts to show that there is a massive connection between it and the skin microbiome as normal, and the immune system itself, which I know you talk a lot about in all your papers, all our papers. But this is starting to show a direct link for the sun protection now.
Yeah, and the
So
immune system, the key part there. Our immune system helps protect against the sun. So the skin microbiome, they identified certain microbes which had a direct effect on changing how the immune system reacted to sun.
Interesting.
That's how the immune system is linked there. But again, very obvious to us, the skin microbiome is one of the most important parts of the immune system itself, because again, the skin is our first line of defense from anything in our environment. So going back to the original definition of the immune system, which is there to protect us against things in our environment, which could potentially cause us harm. If you have the body's biggest organ, which is the first line of defense from those things, then how would it not be an essential part of the immune system?
Exactly. So what would you say to people? How would people use this research, or what could it be used for in the future?
Well, it could be used in the future, loads of things, for sun protection. So if you get skin microbiome health of our ancestors, which no one has at the moment, actually everyone has damaged skin of up to 84% of our ancestors' health. If you get that level of skin health, then it could really help you protect you against the sun. So just by thinking about that and being aware of the chemicals and the damage they're doing to their skin on a daily basis may actually help them with sun damage and also vitamin D production in the skin, because again, that's going to be one of the most important places for that. And also the immune system as well. If you have a healthier skin microbiome, this is going to help your whole body's immune system.
I think that's a brilliant place to end, to be honest.